Hi, everyone. Welcome to our very first Heads of X, Heads of Engineering conference. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Anna, and we are Epic Events, the organizer of today's event. Epic Events produces premier events at the nexus of technology, startups, and investors. Our mission at Epic Events is to ignite ideas and expose technologies that will underpin future society. Heads of X is our new global technology conference series, bringing top minds and highly sought after industry leaders across a wide array of subject matter expertise. We kicked off with our Heads of Product 2 weeks ago, and other events in our series include Heads of Design, Data Science, Digital Marketing, Sales, Operations, and People. Today is our Heads of Engineering, the most exciting engineering conference to bring together top engineering practitioners who will condense their most impactful insights into bite-sized keynote presentations and 2 panels. Our schedule is broken down into 3 segments at 9, 10:45, and 12:30 p.m., and an exclusive VIP networking session at 2:15 p.m. Let's welcome Lars Bergstrom, who is currently the Senior Director of Engineering at Mozilla.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for the amazing talk. That was really, really great. So today I'm going to talk about something that probably all of you are running into right now, which is, building distributed and remote teams. And sort of unlike a lot of the content you'll see on the internet, this isn't about a company that's always been remote and how you just need to keep doing more of that. And it's also not a COVID-19 playbook. The challenges that you'll face are individual to your company and the people and your locations. What I really want to focus on are the challenges that all of you are running when you've taken a team that was previously gelled and co-located and working well together, and now you've just set them all apart, whether they're still in the same time zone or across it, because there are a whole bunch of things that people are just going to run into. We've seen this over and over again, whether in COVID or teams that transition there, that they're going to run into these challenges. And there are a bunch of things that you can do as a leader and that you can help your managers learn to do, or the engineers to do, to reduce their stress level and just be more effective in this situation. So my background, I have a PhD in computer science. I've worked as an IC and a manager, both local and remote, at Microsoft and now at Mozilla. And I've just managed a lot of people through this transition or in integrating teams that were some combination of local and remote over the last 10 years. And it's something that I really, really enjoy. The central challenge, and the first one that I want to talk about here that really impacts people, is trust, and trust in both directions. For many of you as a manager, many people get used to doing management by walking around, or open door management, or whatever the phrase is that works for you. It's that sense that you got when you were with your co-located team, that you could sort of read the mood. You could tell what was going on at the water cooler. People would drop in, they would say something, and now you don't have that pulse anymore. So the sense of separation that you might already have at being multiple managers removed from the people who are doing the work is amplified by being in a room by yourself with an admittedly very comfortable couch, but no ability to check in on all of the other people. And so it becomes much more important to really build the structure that's going to help you get that in a fair way that covers your whole team. So the natural tendency that many people fall into is to lean more heavily on Slack or Signal or Telegram or their chat systems. And they end up building this sort of set of back channels among in-groups, establishing sort of in and out groups. And the thing I'd challenge you to do as a leader is really get rigorous with your one-on-ones. And most people are really good about that with their directs, but making sure that those skip level one-on-ones, that if you have 50, 100 people on your team, that you're rotating in 1 or 2 of those every week and making sure to get all the pieces of your team. You're going to have to work a lot harder to rebuild your trust in the team and in the sort of ambient sense of what is going on, and making sure, are people stressed? Are they feeling valued? Are they feeling heard? Are they separated? What are their challenges? That's something that's really hard to get rippling up the organization that you're going to have to do hands-on. and doing it the other way, making sure that individuals feel that trust when they're separated as well. They really want to know that their work is valued at all members of the organization, and it's really hard. It's also important for you, you know, as upper managers, we're focused a lot on what is on the uncertain periods, on what's going to happen in Q4, what's going to happen in Q1, and that tends to dominate the things we talk about. Whereas for most of the people on the team, they want to know for the next 2 weeks, does their work matter? Is it important? Do they have a clear roadmap? Can they continue to execute? And making sure to switch when you're talking with people about the things that are certain, especially right now in these times. And so that communication piece is just so key. I really recommend either daily or weekly async check-ins for everybody on the team. There's a bunch of stuff built into Slack or Basecamp or whatever tool you're using. But the thing I would make sure of as a manager yourself and as a leader of the organization is that you're reading them, you're commenting, you're reacting. People know that this isn't just some piece of the process as written in the book that they need to follow in order to cross T's and dot I's. And you should also be setting the example for candor. So one of the things that the previous speaker mentioned that I really loved was setting what is acceptable, that kids come in and interrupt, that there are challenges with the schooling situation. And this is kind of your opportunity as the senior leader to make it okay. Like when you say, as the boss of the organization, like, hey, I got to drop my kid off. We've got dentist thing. The nanny couldn't make it. We couldn't get, so I'm on child duty. Those are really important because they set the norms for what's acceptable for your team and the challenges that they're facing. I would also recommend, because you know, even as often as weekly, some sort of summary from either your project manager or yourself, like, who are we? What is our identity as an organization? All of the reinforcement that you used to do in person, in your weekly meetings or in the hallways, all of that is gone. And especially right now, people are feeling pretty adrift. They want to know that their work is meaningful, and making sure that you're already preparing that information because the board needs it every quarter, your upper management, the steering committee needs it every month. And so making sure that you're taking all the information that you're collecting and spreading it out to the rest of your team is really, really important. And one thing to make sure of is rotating that area of focus. So not just the thing that got a lot of traction on Twitter or LinkedIn or got the coverage in Wired, but making sure that you're sort of balancing and showing off the amazing work that the junior people are doing on your team to make it more effective, as well as the work that some of your more externally visible people are doing. And if you haven't already done it already, there's going to be a lot of writing. Like, this transition is going to involve a lot more people doing a lot of writing, and taking the 3 hours to have everyone on your team take a Udemy course or another one on professional business writing, the ability to be to the point, succinct, and professional, nobody's really born with it. And making sure that people aren't basically writing murder mysteries every time they're responding to a question is something that'll really improve the effectiveness and decrease the stress of your organization. So decision-making is another really, really big area here. For teams that have been co-located, they got used to like huddle around the whiteboard, pivot quickly, make our changes, get the whole team together. And if you try to replicate that, which people will try to do and will instinctively gravitate towards, you end up with a lot of meetings at a time when people are having trouble really focusing on their meetings. And this sort of low-key FOMO across your whole team. All of the engineers who really need dedicated hands-on time where they can focus on their work, get it done and get it out, are afraid they're going to miss something because they're not in the office anymore. So they can't see when people go to the important whiteboard. And so they're sort of always on, kind of watching Slack, and you end up with this really toxic downward cycle where people are feeling burnt out, but also they're not getting a lot of work done because they're not getting the time to really focus on it. And so working really hard to get people to move their move the decision-making into some sort of shared document or some sort of shared issue, and being clear in a way that maybe you weren't around the whiteboard. It was obvious in the whiteboard, who's holding the marker? Are we all sitting equally around a table and talking about this? Or is someone in management standing in front and making the decision? So who's deciding? And when will that decision be made so that people can take control of their day and get their work done without feeling like they're missing out on the key decisions that are going to impact their engineering work? There's a whole bunch of other stuff that you should try and, like, this is already great stuff to have in writing, but it's even more important now to have it available. An individual development plan. A lot of people are sort of questioning, why am I here? What am I doing here? They're interviewing, they're looking elsewhere. They're thinking about major changes. It's a really good time outside of the cycle of your normal whatever review process to just have that concrete conversation. Like, what is the next step in your career? How are you growing? What strengths are we building on? What is the development plan? What are activities you can do? And what are we doing about the things that you need to work more on? You know, just making sure that all of that is written down really helps people. And then I sort of have a grab bag of the assorted challenges that you're going to run into. New hires need even more mentoring than before, whether they're junior or whether they're new to the company. They may be an experienced person, but they're new to the company. Make it normal that there is an assigned mentor, probably not their manager, who checks in with them literally every day for the first few weeks, just to make sure that as they're working on this new task or new team or new job, that they understand what's reasonable, what's progress, what isn't. You're getting I'm seeing a lot of junior folks, especially right now, getting sort of feeling isolated from the team and not knowing, am I struggling because this is hard? Am I struggling because of COVID? Or am I struggling because, as the previous speaker mentioned, you know, the imposter syndrome that sets in. Someone who's going to help them get over that hump is really important. Your senior contributors, if you start to tell that they are feeling out of the loop, that is a sign that you are not writing and communicating enough. No matter how many times you think you're getting your message out, it's not enough. And finding out what works for your team. Are the weekly emails working? Do you need to have a snack and chat? Do you need to have some combination of those things? It's your job to bring the communications to your team in some ways. I mentioned the challenges with always-on culture due to people feeling both overwhelmed and a bit of FOMO, but it also affects managers and a lot of us. Like, got to get control of the calendar. For first-level managers, I find that being able to have a pretty strict one-on-one day and a staff meetings day frees up a lot of their time and simplifies their schedule. Obviously, for many people who are managers of managers, you don't have that kind of freedom, but working with your administrative assistant or with your good friend Google Calendar to block out chunks of 3 or 4 hours that you try to treat and normalize across your team as something that's important for you so that you can move big pieces forward and get some time where you're not bouncing from Zoom call to Zoom call is super important. So anyway, thank you very much for the opportunity to chat with all of you. I really appreciated it, and feel free to either questions here or reach out to me anytime.
Hey guys, so if you have questions, please put them into chat. And Jignesh, I think also that answer from Becerra was to your question earlier, just FYI.
Awesome.
All right, and we still do have a minute or so.
Very cool. Thank you all for the kind comments. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and Atanu was just like, these are great suggestions, Lars. All right. Okay, Robin. She's saying manager roadmap view versus team member short term is very contextual. I can definitely correlate with that. All points are very great with COVID and all team remote. And then, okay, that's not a question. All right, Jignesh, is it okay to share the slide deck with her? Yeah, sure, go ahead. Yes, thanks, Lars. All right.
Awesome.
Okay, so I'm actually going to bring, yeah, thank you so much, Lars.